Welcome back, everyone, to the Diasporic Vietnamese Artists Network's Accented Dialogues in Diaspora. My name is Philip Nguyen. I'll be one of your co-hosts and the MC for tonight's episode on Melodies from the Mekong, where we'll have a chance to discuss with a couple of experts, musical practitioners, about how their creativity blends both tradition and the contemporary. Before we get started, I've got a couple of announcements and some background context to give to all the folks who are calling in here this evening, as well or morning, depending on where you're calling from. We are switching up. We're making some changes to Accented's program. The way in which we're doing that is that we're actually, this is our, I think, 21st show that we're doing. The show has evolved so much in the past 2 years when we started with very, very intimate conversations with cultural producers across the Southeast Asian diaspora. And so now what we're intending to do with the Accented show is to turn it into a format where it can also be listened to on podcasts and on a radio station. And so that's very, very exciting news coming soon, especially as our first episode this season in our second year centers around music. And so if for those of y'all who have been to Accented before, if it feels a little bit different, that's okay. We're gonna kind of see how it goes and where it goes. And so we still hope that you're able to engage with us and our guests in this sort of way as we head on into a new season of Dialogues in Diaspora. So please reintroduce yourselves if you can. And I'll start off with introducing our illustrious host, Viet Thanh Nguyen, who is the author of The Sympathizer, Nothing Ever Dies, Vietnam in the Memory of War, the short story collection, The Refugees, and Race and Resistance, Literature, Politics, and Asian America. His most recent book was Chicken of the Sea, which was done with his son, Ellison, and his latest book, the highly anticipated sequel to The Sympathizer, is The Committed. Sorry, it's a little bit slow. We're kind of easing back into this new season. We've had a long summer break, but welcome back, Viet.
Hey, Philip, good to see you again, hear from you again. And hello, everybody who's listening to our newest episode of Accented. We're thrilled to be here with you and with our guest tonight, Vân-Ánh Vanessa Võ. She is one of the finest performers of Vietnamese traditional instruments in the world and a rapidly emerging composer. She dedicates her life to creating music by blending the wonderfully unique sounds of Vietnamese instruments with other music genres and fusing deeply rooted Vietnamese musical traditions with fresh new structures and compositions. In 2002, Vân-Ánh released her first CD, 12 Months, 4 Seasons. In 2009, she released She's Not She with award-winning composer Bảo Đỗ. In 2013, she released her third CD, 3 Mountain Paths, with the Kronos Quartet as her guest artist. Under President Obama's administration, Vân-Ánh became the first Vietnamese artist to perform at the White House and received the Artist Laureate Award for her contribution to communities through the arts. In addition to the Zither, the Đàn Tranh, Vân-Ánh also performs as soloist on the monochord, the đàn bầu, the bamboo xylophone, the đàn chung, traditional drums, the trống, and many other traditional instruments. Vân-Ánh Võ, such a pleasure to have you here with us today.
Yeah. Hello, everyone. Thank you, Anh Viet, and hello to everyone who be here with us today.
I think you're one of the first musicians we've had on Accented, and of course, I've spent much time listening to your compositions and performances, and I'm just really curious, how did you get started on your musical journey?
Yeah, the story is very long, but to make it short, I just want to share that my father was the first person who taught me music. He was drafted into the Northern Vietnamese army during the Vietnam War because we was from North Vietnam, and he had to enlist. Otherwise, the whole family would be considered as a defected family. But then to avoid holding gun shooting people, he signed up as a musician, play guitar, but he played terrible guitar at the time. But he got away with it, and so he he just play music after the two sides stopped shooting. Then he had to go to the battlefield, play guitar for the soldier to cheer them up. And then when he got back home, I was born, and then he loved music so much that he went to the National Conservatory of Music and learned it, and then he teach me, and he taught me later on. So when I was 6 years old, my parents suggested me that I should learn an instrument, and they actually introduced the cello to me. But I thought that the instrument was not didn't look good because it's way too big and for me. So, but then later on, my parents said that okay, fine, you can just tell us what instrument that you wanted to learn. Then we will started with that. So one day I saw a lady play đàn tranh, the đàn tranh right here, and she looked very feminine, and somehow the way she moved with the instrument made me think that I wanted to learn that instrument. And by the time that I know the instrument has been with me and together with other instruments, then it almost 40 years now that I have been playing the music, writing music, and sharing the music, the traditional music of Vietnam.
That is incredible, Vân-Ánh. And it's funny that you mentioned that you had started with the cello and then got into like the đàn tranh and then other like traditional Vietnamese instruments. I remember like growing up watching Paris by Night, which I know you had also had a chance to perform a while ago. I had seen like the đàn bầu and the đàn tranh and wanted to like play that kind of Vietnamese music, but where I was from, that wasn't really accessible. So I had started with the cello, and so it's crazy it's amazing to see you here and to be able to listen to you speak about your music. I also had the really unique chance to listen to you play live about just a month and a half ago in Portland for the Vietnamese Students Concert. And while we have you on here, I know you have an upcoming production, and the theme of tonight's episode is melodies from the Mekong, and you do a lot of work in the Mekong region. So would you mind speaking a little bit to that work that you're doing and your upcoming production?
Yes, so I, as an artist, I always want to use my music to share stories of the community that I live in, and the cultures that we have, not only the Vietnamese cultures, but the cultures of the surrounding and the neighbors countries. When I think about I have been working and performing music in the US for 22 years now, but not many people know about the music from Southeast Asia, especially from the greater Mekong sub-regions. I have been trying to make people know about the beautiful 4,000 years traditional and cultural heritage of Vietnam. And I think that with the world just getting closer and everything is globalized in a way, so music's also going that way. So I want to share more of the sounds that touched my heart. So I want to share with those sounds and the stories of the people to more and more people over here in the US and wherever we can. So when I think about that, I to try to trade up, to trade how our community live and survive and building strength and be thrive. And one of the things that really one of the impressions that, and I hold it to me closest is the sound of the rain, the sound of water when I moved from Vietnam to America. And if you all may not know, but all of the Vietnamese traditional instruments contain a lot of the sound of water. Maybe because Vietnam has a lot of, we have a lot of rivers, and in the Mekong Delta, we have all the, we live around waters, and the coastline along our countries is water, the Pacific Ocean. So we have, the instrument reflects that kind of sound that we have. And then when I look at it, I say, okay, well, Mekong, the Mekong River is the one that take us to everywhere. We go upstream, and it's connect people. The water connects people. So I think that that's what I want to do. I want to use the Mekong as a thread to weave all the culture together, so that I can have that as a theme to share many stories, many sounds, many amazing inspiration from the regions to everyone here through music.
The translator, Nguyen San Tông, in his edition of Nguyễn Du's poem, The Tale of Kiều, which is, the national poem of Vietnam, he talks about how the word for country and water are the same in Vietnamese, nước.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, my time in Vietnam, the times that I go, I think you're absolutely right that water is so fundamental. Not even if you're in the Mekong or not, but I just remember, the monsoon and the rain's coming down, and the rain on the windows, and so the soundtrack of music and falling music was always there. So the connection that you're making between the ever-present sound of rain and water and the music that you're working through is so inspired. And then which leads to my question, like, what is your inspiration for your work, both your compositions and your performance, and obviously your passion for bringing Vietnamese music outside of Vietnam to the diaspora?
Mm-hmm. Well, when I write music, when I play music, I always want to use music as a way to tell story. But I cannot write words and use words as in a way that you and Viet Thanh and many writers, great writer, and in our history can use. But then I think that the best tool that I can use is to use music, to use the sound of my instruments to tell story. And the inspiration for me to tell the stories that actually come from the people. So to write music, normally I do a lot of research, and I talk to many people. For Mekong production that I am working on, I actually took several field research trips in Cambodia, Laos, and in the Mekong Delta many times. And please, it may be a surprise to all of us. And it's a surprise to me. I visited the Mekong Delta so many times, but only when I visited it as my field research trip, the whole thing opened up differently. I look at things differently. I could go much deeper into learning about life of the people there, and they were very inspirational stories and sharing. They share with me, and the sound, and it's have the bittersweet everywhere that I go.
And I know, Vân-Ánh, you'll be bringing your music to audiences as workshops. You've been bringing them as workshops, right? Teaching them about the Mekong, teaching them about the lessons that you've learned through your research process and through the creation of your music. I believe that you're coming to the Bay Area, but the grand show, the grand premiere, will be at the Kennedy Center. Is that correct?
Yes. So I actually working on two different Mekong projects from the trilogy that I'm working on. The first one is Mekong Soul, and the second one is Mekong Live. Mekong Souls is commissioned by the Kennedy Center, and we will have the world premiere at the Kennedy Center in April 2023. And Mekong Live is commissioned by Hewlett Foundation for the Hewlett 50 Commissions program that they commissioned 50 composers to create new work. And it will be world premiere at Stanford University. Each part of the Mekong share different theme and different aspect, and I would say that different part of the of life of people there. I have to say that Mekong is 20 years project for me, because I don't think that, or even longer, because I don't think that I can tell all of the story. I can tell all what I learned, what I found, all the sounds from each country, because for Vietnam, for our culture itself, we already have 54 ethnic groups. So we have so many different instruments and different ways to sing, different musical genres in Vietnam. So I don't think that I can ever have the, it is the vault, an archive of music and culture for me. And it's inspired me so much, not only the cultural heritage that we have, but the people from the Mekong, greater Mekong sub-regions. So yeah, so we are going to have the 2 world premiere, both in April 2023, one at the Kennedy Center and one at the Stanford University.
Thanks, Vân-Ánh. And I know, you know, we have you here as a part of Accented, and I think we have you slotted to, you know, share a bit of a sneak preview with our audience and with the folks who are going to be listening in with your first song, which is Autumn Dating Song.
Well, that was great. Thanks, DJ Puzzle, for performing that clip from Vân-Ánh Võ's song, Autumn Dating Song. Can you tell us a little bit about that song for the audience?
Well, actually, that song is you just heard. I played with the đàn môi, the lip pluck instrument that we have it close here and then put in the between of 2 lips, and then I pluck and use my jaw and my mouth as a resonant, for the amber, for a chamber for the instrument. So so that instrument made by the artillery shell material. So it's very, one of the ways that when I do music is that there's many things left over after the war that destructive to people, but we want to use it, turn that destructive article into something that we can share music and share peaceful message. Yeah, so that autumn knitting song.
In case you're joining us late, I am Viet Thanh Nguyen here with my co-host Philip Nguyen, talking with the musician and composer Vân-Ánh Vanessa Võ. We've just heard one of her songs, and we're going to hear another one in just a moment. But the theme of our episode today is melodies from the Mekong, and I'm wondering, how did you incorporate sounds from the Mekong into a musical production, and how did your research in Vietnam come into play here?
Yeah, so when I work on Mekong, I know that many people, will not be able to go to the regions. And that is not my main purpose. My main purpose is that to bring the regions to here for people to know, to learn about it, to get what is that group of people, because I think that there's many differences among even different group of people in the same country or the same region, but then through the music I can share the differences so that we can all learn and try to live peacefully with each other. So what I recorded a lot of sound in the regions. I went to the floating market like around 4:30 a.m. to really witness and to record the sound and the video of the market to see how people just live their day. And I went to the rice field at nighttime to try to hear what is there at nighttime. So I create some music, and after that I use it as a inspiration to create a sonic web underneath the music, and then I write new melody for the instrument or something like that. So I have the piece that I actually working on here, and can give you some kind of example, but I don't know if I can play it and if you can hear it. Should I play it from here?
Is this Fire, or is it a different song that we're going to hear from you?
Oh, it is a different song.
Okay,
Yeah.
why don't we hear it?
So in here you will hear the voices of the elderly in Luang Prabang singing, and then later on it is the inspiration for me to, and then I heard the sound of the birds just flapping away, and so I incorporate it and create it.
Yeah, really. I mean, I think all your music, Jivanan, gets me feeling some type of way as a Vietnamese American, you know, someone born in the United States myself, living in the United States, having never been to Vietnam. I want to pitch that question back at you, as someone who was born in Vietnam but is currently living in the United States and travels all around the world to showcase their music. How has music been this vehicle for your Vietnamese and your Vietnamese American identity?
I think that it's very important that we understand where is our root, because that is actually who we are. So for me, each time when I share music, or each time when even I just write music or play music, I have to make sure that it's originated or it grow out of a traditional music genre that we have in Vietnam. But then, um, you know, thanks to my daughters who are Vietnamese American and they were born in here, they they motivate me to find ways that I have to somehow be able to talk to them, whether through just daily talking, but mainly through music, because um, they were born here. They don't really have that kind of environment that I grew up with. So that is why I thought that the best way is that I share with them the music that's strongly rooted in traditional music, in the tradition, in the environment that I learned from my masters and from my teachers. But then I just put it and think more with the time that I myself and my daughters are now here. And also it has to speak the community issues or topics that is up to date to what my daughters, and even for me to be, I in the communities that going or happening right now. I cannot just stick to talking about the beauty of the countries and everything like that. We all know that and we hold it dearly in our heart. But if the music doesn't speak a topic about recent time and the community, then I will be kind of obsolete immediately at home. Not even, I will not even have a chance to do it outside of our own family. So that's why I think that it's very important that for me to have the music that carries strong and the roots, the trait of the Vietnamese in here, but then it has to be current, that as where I am living right now and which community I serve, and go back at home, that my music have to be able to talk to our own daughters.
Well, I've just been so thrilled to have you on this show. I mean, the music, the last one just such chills up my spine. Your music is haunting and beautiful all at the same time, Vân-Ánh. And we just want to know, before we let you go, what's next for you?
Yes, so I'm working on the Mekong project, and it is the two big productions that I'm working with, and it is very exciting for me because I'm not only working on that by myself, but I write music and incorporate sound of instrument from Burma, from Thailand, Laos, and Cambodia. So I have 4 different master musicians and artists from those countries working with me. And then I will have that incorporated with a string quartet, Apollo chamber player in Houston, and also with my Blood Moon Orchestra. And we are going to have the world premiere at the Kennedy Center at the Stanford University. And then after that, we will go to Carnegie Hall.
Amazing.
Thank you so much, Vân-Ánh, for joining us. This is Philip Nguyen, co-host with Viet Thanh Nguyen for Accented Dialogues in Diaspora, Melodies from the Mekong. For all those of you out there listening to us, for more information, visit dvan.org or about Vân-Ánh Vanessa Võ, who we'd like to thank as we conclude this episode and hope to see you at the next one. Please visit vân-ánh-võ.com. So thank you again from our team to you, and we hope to see you again soon.